Get ready to remove the filter from your timeline. Get ready to break the censorship of social media. Get ready to support the grassroots alternative to establishment propaganda. Get ready for an authentic voice. Get ready to resist cancel culture. Get ready for free speech media. This is FSM.
From the heart of trucker America, my boy Reed Coverdale, host of The Naturalist Capitalist.
As the left becomes less religious, they become more statist. And as the right becomes more religious, they still become more statist.
Whenever you add government, you by default remove community.
But it actually starts with Bush, right? Like in 2006.
That'd be the most satisfying, like, chair shot, ka-chung.
And I have no intention of keeping any promise that I make.
The radical messaging is almost more pragmatic sometimes.
It's bad that the state is as big as it is.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching The Naturalist Capitalist. I hope you enjoy my intro as much as Clint does. He was obviously getting
It's so funny because somebody was telling me, like, oh, your intro's too long. And I'm like, my intro is like half as long as fucking Reed's. What do you mean?
Yeah, I haven't talked about it, but the free speech media, the first half, I should have said this the first time I played this, but I'm part of a group of libertarians who are putting out content. So that's what free speech media is. You can go find them on Facebook for anyone who's watching. But yeah, there's like two intros there. I got the free speech media, and then I got to have my own. Dave sort of has that, but it's like the Gas Digital Network ad is like literally 5 seconds long, so it's not quite as overbearing. But yeah, we're here with.
I had my headphones on, so when that free speech media promo started and it does this like loud rumble, I literally jumped. I was really scared. So
you're Californian, so you're like,
yeah, I was like, earthquake.
So yeah, we're episode 116 here, and I named it the 3 parts of the problem. And I don't know if anyone caught the joke there, but all 3 of us have been on Dave Smith's show, Part of the Problem, and we've all kind of come out of nowhere, basically at the same time. It was sort of the beginning of this year. I mean, it's been slightly different how we've risen to popularity in the liberty movement, but I figured it would be great to get all 3 of us together and just reflect on what's happened, how we got here and what we think about it. But Magnus, I've actually known you. I think I've been following Clint longer, but I've like been talking to you longer. I had you on like pretty shortly after your speech that went viral. I think you went on Clint first, and then you went on Jimmy Dore, and then you went on Alex Jones, and then a couple other people, and then I had you on. But you're kind of a familiar face in the liberty movement now. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they've accepted you, because I wasn't sure,
I know it's so weird too, because like fucking you like Clint and Olivia like touched on it, but it's so funny that there's the kind of discourse right now of like the Mises people are like so anti-unity and they hate anyone who's not like a hardcore Rothbardian, like conservative, blah, blah, blah. And then like everyone's like best friends with me when I'm like a weird, like degenerate mutualist. And it's like, so it's been entertaining, but I love it. And it's definitely some imposter syndrome going on for sure. To this day, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, this is surreal, but I've been loving it. And we've accomplished shit I never thought I'd fucking ever be able to accomplish in my life. So it's awesome.
Yeah, it's been really cool to watch. And then Clint, you and I have been like going after the big name liberty people, trying to get them on the show. Just like, I mean, we're both getting a lot of them. It's been pretty successful, and it's
yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, I've just been amazed by how many people have been willing to do it. I don't know what your reflections are on it. Like I thought that was going to be super hard, but a lot of these guys are just like, yeah, sure, I'll come on your show for me at least. So,
oh yeah. No, I mean, obviously early on it was a massive struggle, and I was talking to myself over the last summer when I first started my show, I had like 50 listeners or something, and I was just screaming into the wilderness by my lonesome. But it was therapeutic, and I just kept grinding. And then, sure enough, I start asking bigger and bigger names, and they just keep saying yes. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I don't understand this, you know? And then, you know, I just get launched into the stratosphere when Pete Quinones has me on Free Men Beyond the Wall, and I tell him about the real estate crisis, and I just debated that stupid fucking neocon Kevin Castley. Fuck you, kid.
Great video, by the way. Go watch that, guys.
Is that the guy that Ace spent like
an
entire week just running around in circles on Twitter?
Not just him. He did it to all of them. Ace debated like 150 neocons for 2 weeks.
That's how I found Ace. So just like people just kept retweeting, and I'm like, are these people real? And I'm like, wait, this is all from the same dude. And I was like, wait, Ace is the shit. Holy God, like, this is awesome.
Ace is incredible. So they were trying. I actually was the surrogate for Ace. I was not supposed to be debating him, but Kevin Castley kept asking Ace, "Oh, you think you're so fucking tough? You think you know everything? Come on the show." And I just throw my hat in the ring, and I'm like, "You want it? Let's go!" You know. So I go on there. I debate this clown for 2 hours. I thought it went decently well. I post a little clip, which is like my 2-minute best rip on him, and Dave Smith sees it. I don't know how. Comments, and he goes, "Hey, can I see the link to the whole video?" Dave apparently goes and watches me debate this clown neocon for 2 straight hours, which blew my fucking mind. I've been listening to Part of the Problem for like 5 years, so like it's my #1 show. It's like it's a dream come true. And then 2 days later, Pete Quinones goes on Part of the Problem, and he goes, you know, Clint from Liberty Lockdown, and Dave cuts him off, and he goes, "Oh yeah, that guy's great." You know, I saw him debating this neocon. I was like,
isn't that still your pinned tweet on Twitter? Of
Fuck
like,
yeah,
oh,
I don't think I'll ever change it. I don't think I'll ever change it, man.
Yeah, dude, Dave's great that way. I mean, Dave is the first guy that I became friends with, actually, which is a pretty good guy to become friends with. And I was just in the right place saying the right thing at the right time, and he happened to notice. Right. And after we became friends, we were messaging a little bit. And I did a video with David Fight and Will Fight, and it was 2 hours long. So I wasn't having anyone high profile on at all. We were just talking about how we came into the Liberty movement. And then Dave just texts me and says, "Hey, I watched your Fight Night episode. It was good." I was like, "You watched that 2-hour episode of me, David, and Will just bullshitting?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, it was great." I mean, I was just like, "What?" I mean, like he really does go around and check people's stuff out. Like
I know it's incredible. And then he was nice enough to do that post where he's like, "I've been fucking with these clowns for the past couple of years, and instead I'm gonna decide to platform some of the up." People that actually see the world the way he does, I think. And you and I were listed on that. I don't think Magnus had come to prominence yet, so I don't know if he was listed, but it's just amazing, to have someone. It really reminds me of Joe Rogan, how Rogan just kind of like lifts all boats, all of his friends kind of come up. I feel it's the same way with Dave. Like if you get on Part of the Problem, that your boat is going to rise.
Yeah.
Our boy Phil in the comments. What's up, my man?
Phil. Whoa.
Yeah, I had this whole conversation with him.
Hey, what's up,
after the show I was on with him, of how he's indirectly responsible for getting me kicked out of a charter school because I was I was wearing an All That Remains shirt, and I bought it from Hot Topic. I forget what the print was, but fucking metal, gory, like hardcore. And I got pulled into the office, and they told me that I wasn't allowed to wear it. And like my dad's like a huge like old school metalhead, so he like came in there and like screamed at the principal and shit, and I got expelled. So I'm like, "Hey, Phil, like you got me kicked out of school. What's up?"
Yeah, dude, it's so funny because when Dave and I started hitting it off, Phil was paying attention to that whole thing. And then he just like instantly had a crush on me on Twitter. And he's like, "Everyone go follow Reed. Reed is amazing." And I'm not into like hard rock screamo music. So I had no idea who he was. And everyone was like super jealous. Like, "Dude, Phil loves you. Like, this is great. What do you think?" And I was like, I got to go find out who this guy is. So I actually like had to I didn't know anything about his music. I didn't know anything about the band. I didn't know anything about him. But yeah, he's great. Phil's been on the show a few times, and I really like the way he thinks. I like the way all these guys think. Like, I don't know. That's what's cool about the Liberty movement is we've all got like different opinions on things, but there's something holding all of us together who actually have, I guess, firm character, and we're not trying to stab each other in the backs. Like we'll have different takes, but we're all united on liberty, and it's really cool to see that in action.
Yeah.
You've been like the embodiment of that, Magnus. It's been, I mean, like you're like the glue that holds us together now.
Well, it feels like everybody's kind of got like their own sort of, like we're like a combined arms army, because like Phil can go on like a Tim Pool show, and like as a musician, and like there's so much more going on with Phil than just he's a libertarian. So
Right.
he can crush it on that. And then like Dave Smith, he can go on Joe Rogan. They're both comedians. Like he can crush it on that. And then I can go on like a bunch of Marxist podcasts and get them to be like, huh, maybe the libertarians aren't that bad. So it's like we all have like our little like everyone, you know, has their niche of, obviously, like Clint, like anything to do with the lockdowns, like you're just fucking annihilating it. And then
or any of the hot ladies in the scene, obviously.
Oh yeah. and then Reed, I actually forgot I wanted to bring this up to you. I brought it up on my podcast. I'm in a chat with a bunch of anarcho-communists, and you got brought up not by me, and they're like, I actually like that guy. So like you have fans on the left, Reed. So it's like, yeah, like we all have our little weapons that we have that are really effective, and they seem to be working.
I love that you did that huge tour across Jones and like all these massive platforms, because I was just so pumped for it, because you know there's not many opportunities for someone with as radical a worldview as the three of us have to get on these platforms, unless you're like really notorious. And I guess you are notorious now, but you know,
so weird.
Yeah. at the time you kind of weren't. So it's just incredible that speech was, you know, it's like this. I think I named it the speech heard around the world when you came on my show. So yeah, I just think that it's such an amazing moment, and I totally agree with Reed that it's just beautiful that everyone is so supportive of one another. I think it's hilarious that the Mises Caucus is painted as being like the dividers, the conquerors, and the truth is, like, I would be uplifting the clowns that I hate if they wanted it, but they just don't. I mean, I've asked them a half a dozen times to come on and duke it out with me, and they have no interest. So it's like, look, there's obvious unity here, obvious. So I don't know how we're painted as the dividers, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's so sorry, read up. It's so weird to me that, like, again, like I'll bring it up again. Like I'm way to the left of like everybody probably in the Mises Caucus, and it's like I've had no issues. Like I did get some hilarious reactions to me being on Dave Smith, which we probably talk about eventually. But like I've been welcomed with open arms, and there's been no issues really with it. And like even Alex Jones, like I got a self-proclaimed anarcho-communist on Alex Jones, and they sat and just talked about like the Great Reset and how the globalists were destroying the world and shit for half an hour. You know, it's just like this is possible. This is crazy, and the people that are actually interested in unity are pulling shit off, while the people that want to be in their own little social clubs and their bubbles are just jerking each other off in the corner and not accomplishing anything.
Have you guys noticed that, or maybe it's not the same with you, but with me, the people who really hate me are the ones who are in my camp. So like the two groups that I've actually really blocked a lot of people on Twitter is like people who like Tulsi, and then right-wing libertarians. Like you were saying, like the anarcho-communists like me, like I don't block any of them. Like I don't know. It's like right-wing libertarians and Tulsi supporters that hate me. And I was a Tulsi supporter, and I'm a right-wing libertarian. It's just funny that the people who are supposed to be on your side are the ones who tend to eat you up the most. I don't know if you guys have had that happen too. I don't even really know what your side is, Magnus. Like, I don't know if there are a ton of people in your group to hate you, but Clint, I mean, that's kind of the case with you, right? It's like right-wing libertarians that kind of go after you, or
it doesn't seem like it, honestly. I don't feel like anybody goes after me, but I think it's just because I have such a quick block trigger. So maybe I would have haters if I allowed for that. But yeah,
I see people that you have blocked that hate you a lot. So that, I mean,
there you go.
The ones I've seen at least are right-wing libertarians. So.
Well, it's funny because like anybody that comes at me with a challenging question, if it's in goodwill, I will completely interact. But if you just come at me like, "Hey man, your idea sucks. This sucks," and then they're like, they expect me to engage with that. Like, no, goodbye. I don't have time for this. And as my following's gotten so significant online, like I have to be conscientious about my time. So I'm just like, goodbye. I don't need to deal with this anymore. What do the right wing libertarians go after you for? That's surprising.
Oh, me?
I mean,
No, Reed.
No,
like a lot of these
I can guess for Magnus.
A lot of the wokeitarians are actually like, they're not left libertarians. I think that's a misnomer to call wokeitarians left libertarians, because if you look at their views, they're actually right-wing libertarians. They're just like woke right-wing libertarians. So that's why they hate me, because it's mostly for the people I've had on my show. Like, they didn't used to hate me until I had like Pete Quinones and Ryan Dawson on my show. And then it was like, oh my God, you're the worst person in the world. You know, how could you platform those people? And it was, I mean, it's not any of my views. I don't think. It's just like who I talk to.
that shit's so cringe, because I will have Fuentes on my show and I will argue with him. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Like, I don't give a fuck.
That's
like,
the best part
scared.
about this.
And that's the problem with these people is like when I was in Detroit and I walked up to like a bunch of neo-Nazi bikers with like a rifle across my chest and was like, "What's up, guys? Why are you here?" To where I feel like these people would be like on their phones, like, "There's Nazis here and we need to do something about it," while they like, it's just a different energy of like how you deal with this shit.
Yeah, no, Magnus is like king based. I joke about me being king based. He is king based. I ain't walking up to nobody fucking open carrying and talking shit like, no thanks.
Well, no, I don't think it's based. It's to have a fucking death wish and you.
Well, yeah, you know, that's kind of based though.
But no, yeah, when it comes to me, like, my following is as diverse as my block list, because I get everything. I get neocons, neolibs, Biden supporters, Tulsi stands, communists, Hoppians, Trump supporters, like everybody. It's a surreal mosh pit, my fucking Twitter. And it's funny because like I'll tweet something criticizing Biden and it'll go like viral and I'll get like a shit ton of Trump supporter followers. Yeah. And then I'll tweet something that's like heavily critical of the police. It'll go super viral and I'll get a bunch of left-wing supporters and then they start screaming at each other in my mentions. It's like, oh no.
I think I've been fortunate because I didn't have a clique. You know, like I came out of genuinely nowhere because I was not even interested in being involved in politics, much less talking about it. It was like,
you weren't even really like in the LP or anything, right?
No, this was 100% organic in the moment. Lockdowns happened and my life was fucked up. And I was like, I need an outlet to vent. So I didn't have a clique to, you know, run afoul of. I didn't have anyone that could be like, oh, I expected this of you and now you're doing this. So everyone I met me when I was already going as ham as I've been going for the past, 10 months. I think the other thing that's really helped me is the fact that the people that I clicked with were like Tower Gang and all these fucking nutbags. And I have the same sense of humor. So like, I think that we all genuinely like love each other, as gay as it sounds, but kind of homo. And it is kind of homo. And I love them all. So.
Yeah. Little homo. Okay.
We're all in Tower Gang, aren't we? All three of us.
Yeah, all of us are our Tower Gang.
Yeah, it's great.
Which again, like I had a conversation with some more left libertarian type people, and they're like Tower Gang's so offensive and so.
I was in this conversation, yeah.
Yeah, and I got to like sell it to them a little bit, and I think it clicked to them of like we're the 4chan generation of like the world's horrible and most of our lives are fucking awful, and like. We try to cope with that through being shitheads, and you might not think it's like the best, but at the end of the day, when it's directed right, because calling out Tower Gang, some of your targets are not people with power, but when like Tower Gang goes after people with power and nails it, like people love that shit because it's that old internet. Because I used to be like part of Anonymous and everything of like when we had 500 pizzas delivered to a neo-Nazi's house and like hacking Sarah Palin's email and shit like that's old shit posty stupid internet, and I love that. And Tower Gang's just like a little slice of that old internet.
And if your life is this fucked up, which it kind of is, thank you very much, government.
Looking at you, Toad.
Yeah, exactly, Toad. That's exactly who we're talking about. But if you can just make your buddies laugh, like it brings some fucking levity and light to this darkness, man. So if you have a problem with us dropping, racial epithets towards each other, even though it's in love, fuck off. I just simply don't care. It's just a very enjoyable little click we found. So
right, and again, to the progressives that get mad at it, like again, like I am more progressive than you are, and I do not get ass mad when someone calls me a fag because I call myself a fag. It's fine. I took the word that people used to scream at me when they beat the shit out of me and made it into a joke, and it's really funny. And that's how I deal with this shit. So fuck off and just accept it. Like,
which is exactly why I refer to myself as a wigger in the group chat all the time.
yeah, you take your insults and you embody them and embrace them. That's why, like, I always run around and threaten people that I'm going to fuck their dads, because I used to be called gay all the time, and I would be like, okay, come here, I'll kiss you. And dudes get really weird about that, and they stop fucking with me. So like, that's how, like, that's just, it's
I always
mentality.
I always threaten to move into their town and bring down the value of real estate. So, same difference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, working blue collar jobs my whole life, like, you have to have a form of self-defense and humor, because if you get upset or offended by people making fun of you, it's not going to get you anywhere. So I remember when I was as young as like 19, I just figured out the way to really turn foul humor or attacks toward you on their head is to just go nuclear, kind of like what you're saying, Magnus. Like, you turn it around. So if someone says a gay joke toward you, you just dial it up to 100 back toward them. And it's like, whoa, okay. I mean, I don't know. Like, people don't get that. A lot of these people have never worked, or they haven't been in environments where people
that's the problem
like that. And I don't know. I mean, that's just how the real world is.
Yeah, I was in Demolition where like half the crew were ex-felons and shit. Like you cannot, if you tell somebody like, dude, that's really rude, they're gonna eat you alive. Okay? Yeah. So like, you need to adapt. And it was funny because in that same group chat, I was like, you got to keep in mind that this is a group of people that will tell each other to kill themselves as a sign of endearment.
Right.
And like 50-50 reactions were like 50% of them were laughing and 50% of them were the sad face. And I was like, there's two types of people in this world. This is the two types of people.
You call me gay, I'm threatened to make out with you. And if you call me a wigger, then I'm beating you at one-on-one. This is how it works. I just fire back.
Right, exactly. It's just different worlds. And
yeah, I mean, I worked on this roofing crew in Colorado for 6 months, and it was like first generation Mexicans, Mexican immigrants. There was like a Somalian immigrant, people from Burma, people from everywhere. And then you had like black and white and Asian Americans too. And there was zero racial sensitivity on that roof, let me tell you. Like, some of the jokes that were said, like, I wasn't sure I wanted to laugh at because I was afraid I'd get stabbed and thrown off the edge of the roof. But what I realized is, like, if you don't laugh at them, that they're like testing you. Like, once you're cool with their complete insensitivity toward anything, then they know that they can trust you. It was one of those deals.
That's what I say. Like, I come from like the non-woke progressive shit because of living in Detroit and living in places like this where
right.
That's how it is. Like, you don't understand how unwoke like the actual poor is in the country and the people on job sites and shit like that. Like, it's an entirely different universe to like a college campus or everything where everyone like is really sensitive. And I always had that culture shock of, I was friends with like the only lesbian couple, the only Hispanic kid, the only Asian kid, the only Native American kid in my school. We were like the weird freaks in the corner. And the shit we would call each other, dude. Like, oh my God, you would not believe the kind of shit and then I left that and went to like, I moved to Chicago and I was like, oh, this is how everyone is, right? And I remember we always used to joke around of saying like, we're going to go do hood rat shit with our friends. Because that was just a thing. Like, we were a bunch of degenerate anarchists that would like light things on fire and like break into public buildings. And I said that in Chicago, and this one like white college girl looked like she had a heart attack. She's like, that's racially insensitive. And I'm like, I've never ever heard that was racially insensitive. Like, it's just, let's go do some hood rat shit with my friends. It's just a different fucking world, man.
If you've done any manual labor, if you have actually graduated college, or preferably you just went to some like hood ass high school and you come out and you actually enter the real world, you interact with people, you treat them like actual human beings. So when they make a joke, you laugh. When you make a joke, they laugh. That is the world I want to live in. So I'm not going to pretend to be woke because I'm not. I look at people and I treat them like individuals. The woke people don't do that. They treat them as if they are fucking a protected class, like they're made of fucking glass or something. I'm like, I think you're on the same level as me, so I'm going to talk to you like I would anybody else. So that's what drives me the most crazy about it, is like the only people I run into that are actually really sensitive about race shit are basically just white women in their 20s. Like, that's it. And like, I mean, some guys obviously, and I'm older than you guys, so I my crowd is going to be a little bit older. So this shit has really dominated colleges over like the past 10 years, and thank God I was out of there by then. But I hope that the tide is turning. I don't know. We'll see.
I think
it's
so.
funny because the one guy that I dealt with at the roofing company who acted like woke people was a fundamentalist, like Muslim from Somalia. And so gay jokes directed at him were not funny. And he was like super angry about it. So it's just funny that if you're a woke person, you're on the same level as a fundamentalist Muslim.
Exactly.
Think about that for a second. Like that's not great.
if I heard someone make a gay joke to him and I saw him notably get pissed, I would start whispering to him, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And if I couldn't get him to laugh still, then I'd be like, all right, fuck it. You're just
no, it's very English because I always bring up this story when it comes to like dark humor of people. It's always from people that have struggled or done hard shit, like you said, fucking manual labor, kitchen jobs and shit like that. In what I forget which battle, it was like a World War I battle. I think it was I can't remember it, but there was a story from an English soldier of there was a corpse that was buried in the dirt and only had its hand sticking out, and it was at the entrance of the trench. And all the English soldiers, when they'd go into the trench, they would shake his hand and be like, "Hi, Jerry." Like, went to the trench, and it's like that's the energy. Like people that don't struggle don't get that of fucking dark, black, dirty ass humor. Like
all those guys died of diphtheria, but it was still hilarious. So
yeah. Like they were going to like the objectively probably the worst fucking area in time in situation in human fucking history, and they were cracking morbid ass jokes about it.
Yeah,
you know?
that's why it's always a sign of a very sheltered life. Like I don't know anybody that actually grew up in the hood who's like, you better watch my pronouns, bro.
Yeah,
like,
right.
They're trying to fucking eat, you know.
Right. I went when I was in Chicago. It was right after the Pulse nightclub shooting, and I brought it up to like the people there because it was the first year I was there. I'm like, "Aren't you worried about the Pride Parade of like something bad happening?" And this flamboyant as hell gay black man is like, he laughed in my face. He's like, "Dude, this is Chicago. The Chicago gay people are different." And I'm like, and sure as shit, I went there and people were like concealed carrying guns illegally because it was like Chicago and like shit. It's like again, like, and those people in that part of Chicago could not hang out with like the college campus Chicago fucking people at all. Like it was like different universes completely.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. And those people in those colleges think that they're like their benefactor, like they're the Overwatch to protect these poor people, and these people are like, fuck these people, I'm carrying a Glock. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, hood gay versus college gay, very different.
So I wanted to ask you guys something. I have been shocked by how like quickly my audience has grown. I wasn't expecting it to take off like that. I mean, I do feel like I'm more in tune with what's going on than the average person, but that's really not saying much. I mean, that's such a low bar. So seeing like how quickly I took off, to me, it was more a sign of like how bad things are. Like, wow, things are so bad that people want to hear what I have to say. I don't want to say that for either of you guys. I just wanted to hear what you thought. Like, were you surprised at how quickly your message caught on, or what do you guys think? You go first, Clint, I guess.
Well, of course. I mean, who expects to? I monetize my show in 9 months. Like, I don't think anybody really does that. So that's bizarre to me. And really, my show was doing well even before Dave, picked me up. So I feel like I tapped into a vein that was lacking. There wasn't enough people out there that were really railing against the lockdowns, discussing the fatality rates and efficacy of the drugs and everything else. Like there was just a real demand for it. So I got lucky because it was my genuine passion and I was just doing it from the bottom of my heart. And then because I had a decent enough Twitter following, a few people checked me out and they were like, oh, this shit is actually good. And even though the first 10 episodes were complete trash, but after that, I kind of got my stride and then, Pete and all these people just kind of keep lifting you. But no, to answer your question, absolutely not. I did not expect to have, I'm going to hit 15,000 Twitter followers in like probably an hour. So that's mind blowing. I'm pushing like anywhere from 4,000 to 6,000 downloads per show, which is mind blowing. So yeah, I mean, this is all out of the blue, man. I was genuinely just doing it because I needed the outlet, and the fact that it could turn into something, real is just amazing.
I think it speaks to that you're actually being genuine, though. And all three of us are. Like, so many people are charlatans trying to ride a vein of popularity. You see that everywhere. Like, people are trying to latch on to whatever thing is the hot topic at a given moment, and then they'll throw it in the trash when it goes away. Where I feel like the three of us, we just have really said what we think. And then when that thing actually becomes popular, it's not very hard work to keep preaching it because you're not making it up. Like, you're actually saying what you believe. So.
I'm never gonna get caught up in a lie because I'm never lying. That's the great thing about being honest all the time is I might be wrong, but I'm never gonna lie to you. So I think that probably the reason that all of us started to talk into microphones is because we were sick of getting lied to. So like, obviously we're not going to then go out and start our own shit and lie the same way, but on the inverse. So like, yeah, I think that's definitely authenticity goes miles in this, and passion really shines through. So I think that's, for just speaking for myself, I think that's where my strength or my successes come from.
Yeah, so Magnus, you've lived a batshit crazy life your whole life, so maybe for you this isn't quite as weird, but
fucking this is the weirdest fucking I don't know. This is the weirdest shit fucking ever. Like I've told you both on both your shows that I expected to walk into Lansing that day and there'd be like a local news reporter and like some random Trump people hanging around, and then give my stupid ass speech and then go home and remain irrelevant for the rest of the time. And so like this is all very, very fucking weird to me of just kind of I brought it up like earlier today even of I feel like Jordan Peterson, how for all extents and purposes that man has no right to be as like famous as he is because the dude's literally just telling grown ass men to clean their room. but for some reason the world's so fucked that that's just like revolutionary. Dude, I feel the exact same way of I just walked up and I'm like, hey, people are cool and politics are stupid and teams are dumb and we should like fight for humanity. And people are like, holy shit. And it's like, it seems like such a fucking obvious brain dead concept to me, but it's gotten me to a lot of weird, crazy places that I'm not really sure how all this happened. And I'm still like, every single morning I kind of wake up and I'm like, what am I doing here? What do I do with this? Am I doing enough? Am I capitalizing on this enough? Am I getting to enough people? And I'm definitely like not the type of personality or person to deal with this shit at all. I always joke that my pronouns are none, address me as nothing. So I'm just like not a public person at all, but I'm fucking here. So let's do some shit with it, I guess.
Well, and I think that goes back to the point that Reed was making is that there was just a void. There was a void. And I don't know. And it obviously it adds to it that like Zoom and Skype and all these technologies that just came about now enable us to talk to these legends all across the fucking planet.
Right.
And like, you couldn't have done that. Like, that's the reason Joe Rogan had such a leg up is that he was in LA. He got to have people in his studio because you couldn't do anything over the internet back then, really. Like, so I think that's probably, it's just timing. And then obviously the lockdowns created a whole lot of spare time for people. So I think we got a lot of extra listening hours for shows and shit like that during that period.
Yeah, I think you're spot on about the void. And I'm kind of like a bastardized mixture of you guys. Like, I'm not quite as unity as Magnus, and I wasn't quite as much about capitalism and the lockdowns and the bailouts as you are. I was kind of talking about both, so I'm kind of lame. Sure. But you guys are like the hardcore, unity.
We're the three cringe of the apocalypse. Right?
But I mean, it was like being the Liberty Uniter, which is what someone called me, and I actually had that as my Twitter name for a while. That was a super easy void to fill. Like, nobody was doing that. It was all like people pitting themselves against others. And then I found out about you, Magnus. I saw your video and I saw your speech and I was like, holy shit, there's actually somebody else who's saying this. But yeah. And then the lockdowns, obviously that was not vocalized even close to well enough. So there really, really was a void. And we were just filling it. I think that just hits the nail on the head.
But I got to be honest with you, man. When you first started pushing the Unity shit, I was like, doubt. I was like,
Understandably.
I was like, I don't see the path here, because like it was so toxic. It was so left and right. I don't even mean politically. It was just like two separately opposed groups, it felt like. And I mean, in truth, even though the message is unity, it's still going to cut some people out. And I think that's where I started to get back on board with it, when I started to hear you guys going like, okay, yeah, obviously we're not going to work with people that call us racist all the time. You know, like that's insane. Why would we do that? And then I was like, oh, okay, well then you're just talking about putting the petty shit aside. But like, obviously if someone's impugning your character needlessly day after day, like they do to Josh Smith and whatnot, then we're not going to fuck with these people. So once I understood a little better, and then also I meditate a lot. So I was like, I have to tap into my Zen side and be like, do I really want to be fighting with people that see the world 90% the way I do? Like, no, I don't. I want to fight with politicians. Like, that's really who I want to fight with. And that's exactly why when I saw Magnus's speech, I was like, oh yes, this is it. I was like, this is it. A fucking crazy looking boogaloo boy talking some wild shit. I didn't even know snipers were pointed at you during that.
Yeah.
When you told me that, I was like, holy shit, man.
The cracks in my voice part of that speech was ad-libbed because I was freaking the fuck out, dude. Like that whole I posted some things in the Tower Grain group chat for like context of like what Lansing looked like. Cause like you see that speech and you see a chain link fence and you hear a helicopter and there's a bunch of journalists. But like behind the journalists is like riot cops, National Guard, Humvees, snipers on rooftops, fucking bike cops, horse cops. It's like,
it's incredible, man.
Yeah, I mean what's the saying? Evil prevails when good men do nothing. So I mean that's so true. We were just doing something. I mean, we just filled that void like that.
Some of us more than others.
Yeah.
Magnus is the real balls carrier.
You I haven't had snipers pointed at me throughout this yet. So.
I've had a lot of guns pointed at me in the last year. It's kind of annoying. I'm not gonna lie, but I definitely. It's just like it's crazy because when everyone does jump to that extreme, like the knee jerk when they say like unity, and they immediately go Nazis and commies, and it's like we forget so easily that like there's the Tim Pools of the world and the Jimmy Dores and the Kyle Kolinskis and like. There's a whole giant section of the left that's not down with the woke shit and focuses primarily on fighting state power. And then the left will look at it and be like, oh, all the Republicans are crazy nationalist Trumpers, forgetting like the entire LP and all these things. And we've been forced to kind of like assume other people's positions on shit so often that we forget that there's entire movements that are going on. I talked to Misty about this. I thought only the right wing cared about Julian Assange because the only people I ever saw talking about Julian Assange was like Luke Rakowski and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found there's an entire giant fucking movement that's having like nationwide or global protests for Julian Assange that are a bunch of like communists and shit. And it's like, whoa. And I feel like there's like an op there of like the media doesn't want you to know the people that agree with you that disagree with you, if that makes sense. Because then like wheels might start turning in people's brains.
Yeah. The ironic part about that is to me, the unity is actually about red pills, because if you're a leftist, but you're red pilled, which means that you just understand that you're being lied to by the media and by politicians and everything else. It's like, I can fuck with you. Like you sound dope to me. As long as like we can have different solutions to these things, but as long as we identify the same problems, like I can still talk to you and have a friendly conversation. It's the people who are like, what are you talking about taking ivermectin for? Like they already came out and said that doesn't do anything. And I'm like, bro, are you reading anything? Like, are you actually trying? Like that was the thing that drove me the most crazy over the past year. People are afraid for their lives and still they wouldn't do any research on their own. Do you know how amazing that is? That people thought they were imminently going to die, and yet they still just listen to this fucking leprechaun telling you to stay in your house for an entire year. That's amazing. Read something, you lazy cunts. You're in your houses for a year. Read.
That goes to the exact point though of like I've even in the beginning I fell into it of like the left is totally on board with the vaccines and the lockdowns and they're all for all this shit. And then I found like Slow News Day and like Fiorella and shit where like they were looking into election integrity. They were running around talking about how the lockdowns were bullshit. They're going into like how Bill Gates has like partnered with MasterCard to roll out vaccine passports in Africa and shit. And these people are like anarcho-communists and shit. And I'm like, I thought the left was all on board with this. And again, I feel like this shit's deliberate because they don't want us fucking talking to each other. You know?
And on the inverse, a lot of them think that we run cover for these corporations, which we actually despise.
Yeah.
So there's a huge gap in perception that does not line up with reality at all.
Yeah, I feel like Twitter is actually a great news feed because you actually see like what all these people are thinking, and then you can actually get linked to articles, and you can actually get linked to things from like antiwar.com or from the Convo Couch or whatever. Like you don't get that from the mainstream media. You get nothing but the bullshit narrative trying to divide people. I haven't relied on mainstream news for I don't know at least a couple of years now. I mean, I don't even watch it anymore. Like, I mean, people, if there's a clip that someone tells me about, I'll watch it, or if it's Fauci and Rand Paul duking it out or something. But I don't look to it for news anymore because it's just, I mean, it's so intoxicating and so misleading. I don't know. I mean, do you guys even watch the news anymore? Or
only when TMZ's on at the fucking laundromat, and I try to turn my headphones up louder and louder to not hear it.
I'm not gonna lie, I fuck with Tucker. I think that he actually does some reporting that you don't get anywhere else. Obviously, I disagree with him on a lot of shit, but I still really appreciate the reporting. It seems as if he really bucks the trend. He's been talking shit about vaccine manufacturers and Fauci and the lockdowns and a whole bunch of things that I really appreciate because you don't hear that anywhere else other than our shows probably.
Yeah, right. Tucker and Kennedy are really good.
Sure, yeah,
and also Kennedy is mint, but but yeah, like. I mean, I have to give shout out to Tucker because Tucker had my friend Andrew who runs the Action for Assange shit. Mm-hmm. He's a Green Party guy, and he had him on his show to talk about Julian Assange and all the stuff that we've been doing in like the Action for Assange thing, and like that's like a niche topic from a leftist, and he gave him 30 minutes, and it's like, well, fuck yeah, dude, like that's cool. He definitely has like, I feel like when it's just Tucker, he's conservative boomer con, like whatever. But he has those Joe Rogan moments where he's just like, he brings on crazy guests or hits like that perfect kind of thing that you're like, whoa, this is different. This is working.
He's probably the most anti-war guy on TV right now. So I don't know how any libertarian can just be like, fuck Tucker Carlson. If your priorities are in order, you should at least appreciate the fact that he's talking out against war. So the only thing I have to fast forward through is when he talks about border shit, because it's just so like I know exactly what demo you're going for. The 60-year-old white Republican voter. Like, I get it. Okay, I know you have to cover this, but it's just like it's so tiresome.
Yeah, I know. And Tucker's kind of like Tucker and Joe Rogan are the two people that I really, really want to snipe for the anti-war march in September 11th, because it's like Fiorella's already on, and Fiorella's super like already good friends with Jimmy Dore, and Jimmy Dore's already talked to Tucker a bunch of times. So if Jimmy Dore can get Tucker on, it's like, ooh, like, yeah, that's the dream. I want to keep reaching higher and higher to where that event on September 11th is like fucking absurd.
I think this is a good tie-in for the shitty comments you get from the Libertarian right, Magnus. We gotta.
Oh, I see it. I'm smiling. I'm laughing about it.
All right, yeah. Let's talk about the homophobic nonsense you deal with, because that shit pisses me off.
Yeah. So when I went on
biphobic or whatever.
Yeah, I mean homophobic counts because whatever, dick is dick. But yeah, when I went on Dave Smith's show, it was like 50% people were super like I like this guy. This is super cool. It's good for libertarianism. Blah blah blah. And it was like 25% like reasonable caution, because what I'm saying is fucking crazy. Like I like this idea I'm trying to push is wild, especially in the time we're living now. It's almost unheard of. But so I accept like skepticism of it, but genuine skepticism. And then 25% of it was like, LOL, fag flag. Like, oh, he has friends that have OnlyFans. What a bunch of degenerates and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, bro, I don't know how to tell you, but that ain't it, Chief. And there's like, it's weird too, because there's nothing about like the LP platform that's like down with that at all. Like
there's also nothing from Dave that's like that. You know, I mean, you were commenting a lot about how Michael Malice's followers were freaking out whenever Michael Malice said something bad about the cops. And it's like, how could you not know that earlier? Like same with Dave. Like, I think they like that with both of them, actually. I think they like that Dave and Michael just go hard against the woke stuff. And so that's all they need. And then they just jump in and they don't actually listen to any of the philosophy or any of the ideas that they're putting out. And so a lot of the followers do not represent what those guys are actually saying ever.
Well, I think there's a real problem with people on the libertarian right that hear us being non-woke and making these inappropriate jokes and saying fag or homo or whatever,
right?
And thinking that there's actual animus there, and allowing that to make them feel comfortable with their actual bigotry, which I don't share in whatsoever.
Right.
So I think that's probably the issue is like Dave is on Legion of Skanks and they're joking about gay stuff and all this stuff, and they probably draw this connection that there might be some hatred, and it's not reality.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely know all about that being of like even though it's not a right-wing militia group, but it's been sold as a right-wing militia group.
Right.
Like a lot of people will come into the Boog, and we have fucking memes about it of like people that will come in and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm so excited for the Boogaloo. I can't wait to get rid of all the black people." And then it's just like a dude shooting another dude in the head, and it's like, no, like you're like the attitude and the demeanor and whatever does not mean your shit's welcome here. And there's nothing in the LP that's about this. There's nothing that Dave Smith says or Joe Rogan says or any of this shit that says you're welcome. But it's like they're just trying to find like wiggle their way in with it. And some of them are so ridiculous. Like calling somebody said that my pride fucking don't tread on me flag was like, oh, I bet he gets his politics from the book. And like he's never like known everything and like all this. And I'm like, dude, has nothing to do with the fact that I like might just be gay. Like, has that ever crossed your fucking mind? He's like, no, the pride flag is a political system, like a symbol. It's like, what the fuck? No, dude. Like, I have the don't tread on me for a reason. Like, even Thaddeus Russell picked up on this of like, oh, that's like the Stonewall shit of like you're gay people that throw rocks at cops. It's like, yeah, that's what that fucking means to me. So it's so weird, and I don't get it. I don't get where it comes from, and a lot of people smear Dave with that. And I don't think Dave like earns that at all. Like no. It's not Dave's fault that like 1/18 or something of Dave Smith's fans are fucking brain dead idiots. He there's nothing wrong with him whatsoever. Like you think?
Do you know what percentage of the population are brain dead idiots? If only 1/18 of your following are brain dead idiots, you are kicking ass.
It's like there's just this connection too of like if Dave Smith stopped making gay jokes or stopped making trans jokes or stopped making this, then these people wouldn't be interested in him. And it's like, no, like that's not why they're there. Is just because he makes those jokes. Like,
no. And you also want them to be interested in him. I mean, where's the harm in that? Like, don't you want people with atrocious views to listen to people with good views? I mean,
right. That's the Daryl Davis fucking path of Daryl Davis, black man going and hanging out with the Klan and having like dinner and playing music shit with them. And now he has a closet with 200 Klan robes of people that have left the KKK, including 2 Grand Dragons. Like, well, that's the energy I'm on.
This is exactly why I want so badly to have, the quote unquote loser brigade come on my show, because I don't think that they can stand up to my ideas. I am that confident that I am way more correct than they are. And I would love to duke it out. And if they bring something to me that I really have overlooked, I'll reflect and I'll change my perspective. I'm not like so dead set in my ways. However, I don't think these people are really confident in their views because they fucking run away. And I'm just like, hey, if you want to actually try and course correct the messaging from the Mises Caucus, come talk to me. Like you seem to have all this passion and all this capacity for hatred in your heart towards these people who are fucking dedicating their lives to trying to bring fucking liberty back in your lifetime. And because we don't say it how you want, you're going to hate us. Like, I don't know, man. Like, get your priorities in order is all I'm saying.
See, I would have Nick Sarwark on the show and talk to him.
So would I.
But some of these other people, I just don't think it's worth platforming them because, I mean, like, it's not a worthy conversation to have because you can see them literally every day. That's not an exaggeration. Literally every day having the exact same argument over and over and over again. So those people I don't even want to have on because
I'm not saying put everybody on, believe me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the people that really seem to have their heart in the right place, even though that they're going about it in a really bad way, I would love to talk to those people, because I'm very confident that if you actually come and you talk to me and you see my heart, you will change your perspective of me, because I am not a hateful person at all. Like I absolutely love anybody who's in this fight for the right reason. And if you are just like very sensitive and you've been indoctrinated to believe that minorities are really, fragile and you have to look after them, like that's a kind of a beautiful instinct, even though you're fucking ruining the world with that idea. But it's a beautiful idea. So not a beautiful idea. It's a beautiful feeling to have. So like there's no hatred from my end. The only hatred comes when you start to hate on people that are actually doing the work, that are actually changing the world. They're changing minds like crazy. I mean, to hate Dave Smith, he goes on fucking Joe Rogan and it's like 24/7 news cycle. And he's talking about how the vaccine might be dangerous, or at least, like whatever reason they got into the news cycle. How could you not be thrilled that someone that goes on and talks about the war in Yemen for two hours or something? It's like, just what is your goal here? It's so mysterious to me.
And I hate op behavior in general, because I'm on that Daryl Davis shit, because like I know for a fact that a lot of the Mises people and stuff like that, and maybe even you, Clint, I'm not sure, got like really upset at the Joe Jorgensen like BLM tweet and stuff like that. And a lot of these people just constantly keep bringing that up and like attacking like the Mises people and everything for getting mad about that, to where I'm on that same exact energy. And I've never once had an asshole comment or tweet or called anyone's names or anything like that. I just came at it from love, and I'm like, yo, dude, I like you guys, but I agree I'm different. Let's have a conversation about it. Let me show you my side of it. And I've changed so many people's minds. And that's why like I hate the wokeitarian people, because I'm doing what they're trying to do without being an asshole about it, and I'm better at it. So it's like, I hate op behavior. And even in Antifa, like a lot of the Antifa people I hang out with, they within their own organizations are like, I'm sick of going and yelling at Trump supporters. What is this doing to progress liberation? Like getting in some Trump supporter's face and screaming at him is not progressing liberation. What are we doing? So even like within them, they're starting to get this of like, what the fuck is going on with this op behavior, this oppositional behavior of opposing and calling out. And even like in chats and everything, people are like, well, you need to oppose bad ideas. You need to step up and let them know that you're there and get in their face and tell them that they're not welcome here. And I'm like, dude, tell me someone who left the Ku Klux Klan because some dude got in his face and called him like a piece of shit and told him to go kill himself. Probably zero. Daryl Davis has 200, and he sat down, had dinner with them, and talked about blues music. So it's like, what is the effective path here?
Yeah, no, I mean, you can care about all those issues like trans, LGBT, you can care about all that stuff without being an asshole. And so many people don't understand that. And you're absolutely
and also like Austrian economics and like capitalism and stuff. You can believe those without being an asshole too, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, these people obviously have never actually tried to talk to someone who disagrees with them. They only talk to people who are in their echo chamber. And you can be as woke and proper as you want if you're in your echo chamber. But I mean, people like us are actually converting people. You on the ground, Magnus, and then Clint and I with our shows or whatever. And I don't know about you guys, but I've gotten like hundreds at this point of messages or comments or tweets saying like, oh, I'm going to join the Libertarian Party. And sometimes it's just me, or because of Reed and David Fight, or Reed and Dave Smith, or Reed and Clint, or Reed, whatever. Like I'm somewhere in there. So we're actually bringing people in. And it's because we're not woke idiot assholes, I think.
Right. or explicitly like like becoming so anti-woke that you become nega woke, as I put it, of like you're woke in the opposite fucking direction.
Right.
Because like I always bring it up of Spike Cohen, like through our unity thing, went down and talked to a chapter of BLM in Virginia that's like 73 strong, and got them all to vote for the LP by the end of the day. And it's like incredible. And if you're a person that's like, oh, BLM is a communist organization that's trying to destroy the country, and you can't talk to them because they're all murderous, burn, loot, murder, blah, blah, all this shit. Spike said, fuck that. And just went and talked to them like human beings. Crazy concept. Talk to people like they're human beings. and got 72 voters for the LP out of with a pretty weak candidate, in my opinion, in an extremely contentious election from a group that you would never think would vote for the LP. And he just did that by like acting like a human fucking being.
But you know what he offered that the woke do not? Redemption. Like the biggest thing that we lack right now is there is no path to redemption. If you are a racist, you are irredeemable. If you voted for Trump, you're irredeemable. Right. That is the perspective that has been pushed, and that's the thing that I see as an enormous opportunity, is that if we can approach this with loving openness and like acceptance of past flaws and saying, hey, yeah, I voted for some dumb shit back when I was a kid too. You know, like we've all been there. But you know, now the world's falling apart. Maybe we should give something else a try besides Biden or Trump, for the love of God. You know, like maybe we should try something a little bit more revolutionary. And I think that if you come at them like that, I mean, you don't even have to say you voted for some dumb shit. I was just joking about that. But I'm just saying, give them a path to redemption. Show them that there's a possibility that we can actually improve this shit, as opposed to the lesser of two evils for the rest of our lives until the world implodes, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing, like the whole idea that you can't be redeemed after you've done. I mean, that's why I've been like spamming the Bush Cheney picture that I had and the Mike Huckabee picture, and then I tell people I voted for Mitt Romney in 2012. You know, like it's me. Like, I mean, I was a Stalinist. I can't talk shit. I used to be a Stalinist when I was a kid. There's nothing that's second only to being an actual neo-Nazi, in my opinion. No, just being a fucking unironic tanky. Yeah, I mean, people change, you know, and some people change really quickly. Like, it can be a year like 2020 can radically change people's minds. I had friends who thought we should confiscate all guns in 2019 that are Second Amendment absolutists now. And I believe that's a genuine change. When you go through a year like 2020, you know, your mind can be pushed into some weird places comparative to where it started.
No kidding.
Yeah, look at Jack Posobiec, like his Twitter fans like begging for them to call the National Guard in on my friends in Louisville because they were marching in the street with guns, and he thought they were Antifa, even though they weren't.
I hate you too, Olivia. Don't worry.
He's like armed Antifa patrolling the streets of Louisville, and it's like one of those dudes is an anarcho-capitalist. I know him personally. I talk to him every single day. And like two, like you would send the cops on them because they're open carrying. Like, this is conservatism now. But you're right. Like 2020 fucking fried everybody's brains.
Yeah. And some people for the better and a lot of people for the worse. But the reason I'm so optimistic is because so many of my relatives, even friends of mine that voted for Biden, are like, I thought the lockdowns would like end right when he got elected, you know, like,
I mean, a lot of people like that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just like, you remember when you were like checking my show out and I kept saying that there's no way in fucking hell the lockdowns end right away with Biden, and they called me an idiot or a conspiracy theorist. And I was like, yeah, well, see, maybe we should talk a little bit more. And it's beautiful to see that people are actually, you know, seeing the light a little bit. They're actually realizing like this tyranny is bipartisan. Like if you're continuing to go down the Republican and Democrat path, thinking that it's going to fix anything, I don't know what world you exist in. Like, it is so obvious that these people are both on the fast track to hell, and they're just different color boxcars. It's
such fly logic, because like if I just came to Earth, I was a fucking alien. I knew nothing about U.S. politics or anything like that, and I turned on C-SPAN and I watched that one speech where Nancy Pelosi and fucking Chuck Schumer and
I win.
Beard gang. I have mustache and goatee and beard technically, but it was like Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi like screaming at each other and like calling each other a bunch of names and everything. And then they get off the stage and they don't even fucking bother to cut the camera. They walk off the stage, the camera follows them, and then they hug each other. I would be like, oh, this is a reality TV show. Oh, wait, This is your guys' politics? Wait, these are opposing parties? No, there's no two opposing parties. What do you mean? So it's the fact that like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Americans were sitting there and watching that TV. And the moment they got off the podium, they just like eyes glazed over, and like the camera followed them and then filmed them hugging. But like nobody remembers that. after they just sat on there and talked about how they were destroying America and how Mitch McConnell was a fascist and Nancy Pelosi was like a radical Democrat that needed to be removed, and then they hugged.
Yeah.
What the
I just realized it's the 20th today, isn't it? May 20th.
Yes.
So I put out my first episode a year ago today. It was May 20th.
Oh, that's awesome.
Year anniversary.
But I wanted to ask you, Clint, since you've had the show about the same amount of time, do you love pulling episodes out from when Trump was president, when the Republicans were okay with the exact same shit the Democrats are doing now, when the Republicans like to be like, this spending is absolutely insane, or, the federal government's too big, or like we need to roll, whatever you can. Like, I remember doing a show in, I don't know, it was probably in July last year about how, just wait, we'll have inflation, prices are going to rise, and now prices are rising. And everyone's like, oh my God, this is all Biden's fault. And it's like, well, I mean, don't get me wrong. He's definitely contributing to it. But remember that $2.7 trillion bill we passed in March last year, and then that $2.4 trillion bill we passed in December. Technically, Biden has spent less money than Trump so far.
He's on a faster track. But no, of course. and I think it's really important that the libertarian, like, even though I get along better with conservatives, I actually hold their feet to the fire more than I do the left, because I speak their well, they're supposed to be better, and I speak their language. So like I can go after them really hard, whereas the left will get really defensive right away. The conservatives are like, they know me and they know when I'm talking to them, it's like, it's not going to be just trying to kill them or anything, but I just will tell them like, hey, all of the shit that we're experiencing right now, the shortages and the inflation and the fucking terrible economy, this is a product of the guy that you worshipped allowing our country to be locked down. He did that. He allowed for that. Now, you can blame Fauci, sure, but who fucking platformed that son of a bitch? It was Trump. So like,
he put him in.
Of course. Of course. So like, I just really try and hammer home, like, your fucking Jesus was responsible for at least 60% of the bullshit we're experiencing right now. Now, would it have been his idea? No, it wasn't his idea. I don't think it was at all, because I don't think he's that bright. But he allowed it to happen. He fucking allowed it to happen. So,
yeah, and then I mean, it's not about like living in the past and digging. It's about like, look, idiot, like this is not going to change if we get another Republican in 4 years. Like, it's the system. It's not who is sitting in the Oval Office. It's the whole bureaucracy. I mean, it's all got to go. Like, it's not, oh, we've got a Republican, we've got a guy who thinks the way I do. It doesn't matter. It's just going to adjust things around the edges. The big things are going to remain exactly the same.
Right. And like I've me, myself and tons of other people in the movement have poached so many fucking Proud Boys. And like, it's probably like a 16th of our movement are like ex-Proud Boys that have like burned their patches and like put Boogaloo patches on, because we would just walk around. And I had a lot of personal experiences with this, going to the Second Amendment protests, where I'd walk up to like the dudes with the Trump signs and everything. And I would just have a picture of Duncan on my phone, like face down in a pool of his own fucking piss and blood, and be like, hey, this is a red flag raid. Donald Trump said this is a good idea. Like, Second Amendment, so it's just like pointing out those little things with people.
Hey, this is my first super chat, so I just want to shout this guy out. Mantyfly, thank you so much.
1 year anniversary gift there. I love it.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. So I don't know if I've said this on the show, but like a couple weeks ago, I finally got approved for monetization. But the super chats are pretty much the only way I'm going to make money, because almost every single video is going to be demonetized. So I really appreciate the super chats. Keep them coming. Thank you so much.
We're all suppressed too. I guarantee it. Because fuck it. If she's still in the chat, Olivia is like the best example of this. Olivia has like 20K or some shit like that. Like
50K.
50K Twitter followers, and her videos will get like 32 views or some shit. And I'm like, that's not organic. Sorry, that's not how that shit works. Like there's no law of business or math that applies to that. So you're getting suppressed, like 100%. All of us are getting suppressed.
Yeah. It's okay. If we weren't, we wouldn't be telling the truth. So I'm happy with that.
It's video game logic. The more enemies you're running into, the closer you are to the truth.
So have you guys both seen my M1 Garand bump fire video?
I saw that before I knew you, and I saw that I saw that posted on TikTok actually.
Yeah, dude, that thing's everywhere. Like my dad, this isn't the point I was going to make, but this is just a side story. My dad is a school teacher, and he had some students arguing over the difference between an assault weapon and a regular weapon. So he played that video, and like half of them had already seen the video, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know that." And he's like, "Yeah, that's my son." And like
that's my son.
I've had coworkers.
That's my boy.
Yeah, I've had coworkers who their friends have like sent them the video, and then they'll send it to me, and yeah, it'll be TikTok or Facebook or Instagram. I mean, it's all over the place. But my original point was I've uploaded that video on 2 channels, on this one and then just my personal channel. And if you type in M1 Garand assault weapon, which is the title of both videos, it'll show the one from my personal channel. You have to scroll through like 400 results past like a ton of stuff that is not M1 Garand or assault weapon before you get to the one that's on the Naturalist Capitalist. Because on my personal channel, I don't talk about politics. It's like travel videos and random shit. And then on that channel, it's got 1.2 million views. On this channel, it's only got like 480,000 views. So there's definitely something at play there. Like there's no way that that's natural. Wow, thank you. Fuck the Antichrist. All right, cool. Thank you, Benjamin.
Have you all seen that meme where it's like the guy he like in a bunker with an AR and he's like, "Fuck the Antichrist," fuck, and like the UN's outside with like guns.
I hate the Antichrist. I'm with you, Ben.
Fuck the Antichrist, indeed.
I'll have to look the meme up. That's my bad.
Oh yeah, it's good shit. I'll have to send it to you, Reed. But I did like, I guess I have my own question for you guys. Obviously it happens a lot because there's a ton of people that know me that I don't know. But I had the first moment where I interacted with somebody and they were like, "Oh, you're that guy," and I was like, "That's weird." Have you experienced that? And how the fuck is that weird to you? Is that like surreal to you? Because it's exactly like the shit you were just talking about, Reed.
Mine was wild. But in fairness, it wasn't like I was in a grocery store. I went to the Mises Caucus event. So, but I walked in the Mises Caucus event in Visalia, California, and there was 75 people there. First off, I knew the speakers. I knew Thaddeus Russell. I knew Hotep Jesus because they've been on my show. So they're at the front of the room. They're, giving me head nods and shit. Thaddeus is texting me on my way there, which is fucking mind blowing. Because I
love Thaddeus so much. I actually read his book like long before any of this. So
yeah. So I'm looking around the room. Everyone's like, they definitely know me, and it's just weird, man. And then I leave the room. Someone comes over and asks to take a photo with me. That blew my mind. That had never happened before. This actually also happened 3 months ago.
You got Bert in the chat.
3 options for facial.
Shut the fuck up.
Dude, why is Neocon so fucking smart? I don't understand it.
Damn it, dude. You fucking kill me every time.
Bert, follow me on Twitter on your account that's restored. You were following me on the one you got rid of.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Back, dude.
Get on here.
He's taking a break from Twitter, but maybe he's back. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, hey, by the way, finish the beat, doggy. Like he's making a fire ass beat, and I'm gonna collab on it with Patriot J, and we're gonna put it out. It's gonna be amazing.
Oh, that's what you're talking about with Liv. Interesting. I'm down with it.
It's gonna be so sick. But anyway, so I had another couple people come up and ask to take photos with me, and then 3 months ago, when I was at the Tom Woods event, I had another 3 people that came up and were like, Clint from Liberty Lockdown. So it is an absolute mind blower when that happens, and I don't know if I'll ever get accustomed to it.
Yeah, I haven't been to like an event since I've gotten big, but even last year, so when I had like 1,000 subscribers and, I was just sort of mediocre or whatever, I went, Spike Cohen came to Salt Lake City and I went to that event and I think 3 people knew who I was who I'd never met. I had that like ridiculous handlebar mustache last summer. I don't know if you guys remember that.
You have a ridiculous handlebar mustache now.
Well, it was like, it was like a Fu Man.
Yeah.
Oh, you were full Lemmy Kilmeister.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I stuck out like a sore thumb. But I had that. But then I did actually have an instance where I was not at a Liberty event. I was actually at Komatsu Equipment here in Salt Lake City picking up a haul truck, and this other truck driver came walking across the parking lot because my truck makes it into a lot of the videos, so I think he recognized the truck, and he came over. He's like, "Hey, are you Reed Coverdale?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Dude, I've been watching your truck."
Who's fucking asking?
It was like I've been watching your shows for a few weeks. I really like your stuff. That was nuts. I was like, because it was out of the blue in like a weird place where no one.
That is super wild.
I haven't had anything in person yet. I've had people come out to my house that are like, "Oh, I've heard of you," and that was super cool. Including like the Michigan Anti-Fascist Network came with us to when we went out to Ohio to Mansfield, and I was like, "That's fucking crazy." But recently, my buddy Trent, who's in the Unity chat and everything. He reached out to New Mexico BLM because he was trying to like get something going with them of like, you know, some kind of coalition or whatever. And they asked him like, "Oh, are you like with the same group Magnus is?" And I was like, "Whoa, that's weird." Like, I don't know.
There was one other time. It was actually at Komatsu as well. This guy that
the Lord of Komatsu.
Yeah, I know. Komatsu Equipment's the place to be. But it was this guy who knows my boss, and I'm super lucky that my boss is like totally down with what I'm doing. Like, if you know, when I was on with Tom Woods, like I had to stop early, and I just tell him ahead of time, and he's totally cool with it. And I think he watches. I know he's watched some of my videos, and but this guy that was at Komatsu that used to work for my boss, and I don't really know him, but he came across the yard and he was like, "Hey, man, Heath put me onto your videos, and I've been watching them." So my boss is like out there advertising for me, so that's kind of cool too. But
yeah.
It's because a lot of people like they remain anonymous, which I decided not to do, and it's because they're worried they're going to get fired from where they work. And luckily for me, like the more controversial things I say, the more likely I am to get a raise. Actually, so it's a pretty nice setup. But
you are extremely lucky.
Yeah, I haven't brought this up before, but this is the perfect place to do it. See, we're talking about like weird fame and weird Twitter shit. Of my fucking boomer ass mom made a Twitter account after I got like it was after I went on your show, Clint, and I told her like, "Mom, you know, people show up to my house with fucking guns, and I live a really weird life. Like, keep it on low profile because it's Twitter and people are crazy." And she's like, "Okay," and she names her fucking account. It's like Mama Duck of a Libertarian Savant. And I'm like, "God damn it, Mom." And like she keeps, even with that, she keeps it on the level for like 2 weeks until she's just straight out of like on one of my posts or something. It was like, "I love my son." And I'm like,
that is so cute. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love that story.
I'm like, "Mom, people show up to your house. They already posted your address to the internet. Quit fucking around." But she's just like so like obnoxious mom proud that she just can't fucking contain herself.
Dude, that's beautiful. Yeah. My mom, my dad, like everybody in my family listens to my shit now, and they all seem to really enjoy it and learn a lot because none of them really are aligned with me politically. But I think everyone that listens kind of starts to come along for the ride because I think we are telling, you know, really deep truths, and it's just inevitable that if you listen to us for a while, you're going to start to see the world more similarly to us. So I wanted to take an opportunity to thank you guys for joining me in this ride. It has been amazing to like just see these, you know, kindred spirits kind of come along, even though we have our differences. It's a really holistic, beautiful experience, and I really want to thank everybody who listens, shares. Like it's just I'm overwhelmed with gratitude, to be honest. Like I get DMs every day, you know, with people thanking me for financial advice or asking me questions about, you know, what they should be doing or you know, how to join the Mises Caucus, things like that, and it's just nonstop. And I try to respond to all of them. I think I do, but I don't take enough time to like really convey how special it is to me. So I wanted to take that opportunity to do that. Yeah, no, it really is cool. And I agree. Like it's been fun. I mean, we are kind of the three kindred spirits. Like that's why I wanted to put this together. It's been really interesting to see people embrace the three of us and, you know, be excited to see us get the people that we're having on the show and, you know, seeing our audiences grow. I did want to ask you, Clint, does your family ever know any of the people you're having on? Because I'm having Nick Gillespie on next month, which to me, that's fucking insane. Yeah. No one in my family knows who that is, you know, or no one knows who Tom Woods is. No one knew who Dave Smith was. They know Peter Schiff, and he might be coming on the show, but that's the only guy that ever heard of. Like, they don't know.
I would literally fucking cut off my finger on stream to talk to fucking
Peter Schiff.
Peter Schiff. Like, That was
Me
the
too.
first. That was the first libertarian anything I had experience to. Was him
nice.
walking around fucking Occupy Wall Street, like blowing minds. I was like, who the fuck is this? Like, because that was when I was still a tanky. So I'm like, who the fuck is this class trader? What is he doing? And then I was like, holy, this what? Whoa, I didn't know this. This is crazy. This is and that's like through him I found Ron Paul, and now I'm here.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, I would fucking kill to talk to Peter Schiff.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, the only guest I've had on is that they kind of know is Dave because they're Fox News viewers, so they've seen him do guest spots and things like that. So they were pretty impressed with that. You know, my little brother listens to Legion of Skanks, so he was blown away by that. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, I think that's the other thing that like people that are really in this scene lose perspective of is like Dave Smith is super famous to us, but he's not super famous to the world,
Right.
You know, so like he's just not, and that's great. I don't have a problem with that. I think I kind of prefer it that way. It keeps him more down to earth. But you know, the fact that he's gone on Joe Rogan, he's got his own level of notoriety, but it's certainly like it's a certain demographic. He's not known to, you know, people in their 50s or 60s like hardly at all. So
Right.
One of the best Liberty babes.
Absolutely.
Forrest Mommy, let me impregnate you. What the fuck?
So
You know, like yeah, to that point, like none of my family whatsoever, like dad, mom, brother, fucking everybody, like nobody knows who the fuck Jimmy Dore is. Nobody knows who the fuck Dave Smith is.
They don't know Alex Jones?
No, everyone knows Alex Jones.
Oh,
So
okay.
they were mind blown when I went on Alex Jones. They're like,
Yeah,
what
dude,
the fuck?
I bet.
But, like everyone else, like, hey, I'm going on. And I don't, again, like you assume you're in a bubble because I just assume everybody knows who Jimmy Dore is because he's like a comedian.
Right.
He's been on like MSNBC and shit and all over. Like, of course you know who Jimmy Dore is. And like nobody I know knows who the fuck Jimmy Dore is, like in my normie life. So you get into these bubbles, especially like when people get critical of like, oh, this is the wrong messaging. And it's like, bro, there's more people in probably my county than like people on Twitter who give a fuck about what you're saying. Like, you know, like, I hate to break
Exactly,
it.
dude. That's why it keeps me humble because you know it's not that big of a deal. You know, it's mind blowing to have 5,000 people listening to words come out of my mouth.
Fucking, I see Reed's chat is part of the anti-horny caucus and is standing against horny gang.
I do not. I think it's hilarious, but I do not understand the hatred for horniness. Like this is a human instinct.
I think it's just a meme at this point. There's just running of the bonk show.
I know.
It's just
I know.
so funny.
It is hilarious. Liberty Mauser also says horny jail for Clint. Yeah, whatever, bro. Put me in
200
jail.
years horny space gulag. Force anti-horny labor.
Well,
You
hey,
just watch videos of Nancy Pelosi until you're not horny anymore.
feel free to horny bonk me, but I'm still trying to impregnate Forrest Mommy. I don't give a fuck.
So what do you guys got coming up that's big? I know I'm involved with a couple things both of you guys are in. So Magnus, we got Ryan Dawson coming on your show. We're going to be talking about Palestine with Fiorella and Sarcasm Stardust, and then Clint, you and I are going on Lions of Liberty next week. So that's pretty cool. But what else have you guys got coming down the pipe?
I have Dave Smith coming back, which is awesome. And then I also have Gene Epstein to come on to talk about my prognosis for the real estate market and inflation. And I think it'll be amazing.
I'm super excited for that. I'm as much as I love libertarian like bitching about Twitter and fucking like the government and everything. That's why I love your show because I'm a massive fucking dork and I'm like numbers, markets, let's go.
Well, and this is information you can actually utilize in your life. So I'm really interested in like uplifting my audience. I really want them to be the way too many caucus.
Thanks
fucking David Fight brought up to me. Apparently, there's a I'm in too many caucus.
Oh, I haven't even heard about that.
Yeah, I know, it's so perfect.
And then I also got.
He has to write it down. He has so many famous people coming on his show.
I got my buddy. He's a like hardcore conservative type. Don the Pleb, which you guys may or may not know of. He's kind of got a decent following on YouTube, like him. And then obviously Reed set me up with Ryan Dawson as well, so that'll be really cool.
Oh yeah, I'd love to pick Ryan Dawson because I didn't know he existed, and I watched that one video he linked in chat, and I was like,
Yo,
dude,
blew
he's
my
based.
fucking
He's
mind.
fucking based.
that dude is mind blowing. I loved the episode of the Naturalist Capitalist. So with him, that was tremendous to get to hear them just go at it. So I learned a lot from that.
Yeah,
I can't wait to talk to that dude.
He reminds me a lot of Whitney Webb, of like those people that are underground that are like
Totally
better than Alex Jones. Like everything
Yes.
Alex Jones is talking about, but like for the right reasons, for the right direction, and like
Right.
not obnoxious about it.
Yeah, dude, Ryan would have like 5 times the size audience that Dave does by now, but I think he's been kicked off YouTube 5 times, and he's had like 3 Twitter accounts removed, and he's kicked off PayPal, Vimeo, Facebook.
Ooh, I can't wait to talk to him about being like mega
Dude,
internet
yeah,
banned.
like he
Because
was,
I can vibe with people that are mega internet banned.
he was a pioneer in being banned, and it wasn't for stupid stuff. It was just for like being against sending aid to Israel and being against like murdering Palestinians, like that's what he got banned for, like in 2004, like way before any of this stuff was happening. So
Based right, Carlson. I'm super hyped for that.
I'm
But you
super
gotta-
pumped.
I guess what I'm doing is I got that show with you on Saturday, and then on the 28th I'm going to Louisville for the year anniversary of the protests there, which that will be a fucking party, as Louisville always is. You never know in Louisville. It might be like people having a breakdance competition in the middle of the street, or they're throwing flashbangs out of helicopters at us. Like anything in between that. It's a fucking wild place. And then just trying to get the anti-war event going up. We officially launched the Twitter account, but we're kind of still finalizing it. The event itself is going to be called End the Damn Wars. And we're going to just keep working out on that and getting like graphics and permits and all that. It's moving. It's going to happen for real. And then I'm going to pretty much the whole month of August be in everyone's fucking DMs, like harassing everybody to bring it up constantly and show the fuck up. That's what I want to meet everybody in person, is like all of my Liberty Twitter people just show up to that event and have like Ryan Dawson with like his fucking Confederate flag talking about like 9/11 was an inside job next to like someone with a hammer and sickle, like saying like free Palestine. That's what I want that event to be. Like that's what it is in my mind.
What day is it going to be?
September 11th.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah, spicy.
And where at?
In DC.
Okay. Well,
we're gonna be right in the middle of the fucking asshole of power with that one. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing my big nationwide tour, so it's going to be a bitch to try and get out there for that. But I'm going to try because I think it's that important.
Yeah, Clint, that's not one of the free locations that you want to visit. I mean,
no,
I know that.
I'm never more nervous in the world than I am when I'm in fucking Washington D.C. Like I'm physically uncomfortable, even being at the Airbnb, because you can't have a gun. I have a gun every fucking where I go. I've never been anywhere in the last 2 years of my life without a handgun or a rifle on me. And that was in DC, like walking around like naked. I'm like, this fuck. And that was the same week that fucking Uber Eats driver got carjacked and died. I was like,
oh my god, that was such a bad video.
Fuck.
Hey, what is this? What is this Empire Unmasked? Is it a documentary or something?
Probably.
That's Ryan Dawson.
That's actually Ryan Dawson's fucking. Oh, I thought.
Yeah, I don't even know if you can like find any of his stuff anymore. I mean, go to ancreport.com. He's saved like a lot of that stuff.
Okay, so hopefully it's still there.
Yeah.
Cool.
But like oh man, dude, he had, I think that YouTube channel, he had 15 years of videos saved on it, and it's just like all gone. 80,000 subscribers, just all gone. And he was like moving stuff over to PeerTube and Rockfin, or not Rockfin. He had the other one, BitChute, but he lost like tons and tons of stuff. I mean, it really sucks.
We could talk about how like my entire life from probably 6th grade all the way until after I graduated college is all gone forever because my Facebook got deleted. And it's so fucked. They don't even give you like a recovery option or anything. Like you can't like email them and be like, hey, can I get pictures of like my niece being born? That'd be cool.
Yeah, dude, Ryan Dawson, I was friends with him on Facebook. Like they just got rid of it like a couple months ago or a month ago. And the way they did it is he said something on Facebook that was, hate speech. And so then they banned him for 30 days. And then he had to log in to remove it within like 8 days. But he couldn't remove it because he'd been banned for 30 days. And then there was something about how they like reset his password. So he had to log in to reset it to delete that thing, but he couldn't because they banned him for 30 days. So then
the exact same thing they did to me, except for
man.
That was I got banned 3 times before I was perma banned, and that I got banned on September 11th because I had made it a tradition for like 8 years that I've had my Facebook to get a 30-day suspension on September 11th every single year, and I always do it. So, you know, just SpongeBob falling out of the World Trade Center saying, all right, I'm going to head out and shit like that. But that coincided with being permanently because I think that's when that was right around the time where they were like, no more Boogaloo gone forever. If you hit the B emoji on fucking Facebook, your account's probably going to disappear in like 2 days. That's how serious they got about it. So
yeah,
wild shit.
Yeah, we're actually the next Four Horsemen episode. We're gonna have Scott Horton on as the fourth guy, and Scott's like he's not crazy about the 9/11 conspiracies unless it's Ryan Dawson, and so that's gonna be a.
I know. I brought up look, Nick Burmis hangs out with Steve all the time, and he's like, "Oh, Nick Burmis." So it's like, yeah, come on, Scott, unity, Scott. I believe in you.
Well, if Ryan Dawson could bring Scott Horton around on the 9/11 conspiracy theory, that'll be mind-blowing.
I didn't know Scott Horton was anti-9/11 conspiracy. Interesting.
He seems kind of just against unproven things.
Yeah, exactly. Most conspiracies are like no planes, you know, they were pods that hit the building or a missile.
Drones, bro.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's like it's harder to believe the conspiracies than it is the official story. I mean, but
I'm just a thermite paint guy. I'm not even that special about it.
Yeah,
that's my conspiracy. I'm dead ass. I believe that shit. I don't give a fuck.
I believe you.
Speaking of my Facebook that's gone forever, there's a picture of me. If you look up the Spirit of Detroit, it's a badass fucking statue of Detroit. It's like this ripped dude with like a star in one hand and like a sword or something in his other. Of me standing in front of that, I must have been like 17. Well, no, at that point I was 20. With a 9/11 was an inside job sticker on a fucking riot shield, and then me posing in front of the Spirit of Detroit. So it's like. No.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, yeah. Well, that was great, guys. I'm excited to see where the three of us go in the future. I certainly didn't expect to be here already, so who knows where we'll be soon. I got another super chat just gonna pull up. I'm going to DC. There you go. But yeah, I'll just let you guys. If you got any last words or any plugs you want to make, I think I've got both of your YouTube channels and both of your Twitter pages in the description. But if there's anything else you want to talk about, you go first, Clint.
Yeah, check me out. Subscribe on obviously the YouTube link. It's Liberty Lockdown. Liberty Lockdown on pretty much everything: Instagram and Spotify, iTunes, all across the board. And it's Liberty Lock Pod on Twitter. So really appreciate you having me on. I'm so happy for what limited bullshit success we've all had. But I think it's just a sign of like. We're on the right path. So even more than I'm appreciative for you guys, I'm appreciative for all the people that are interested in what we have to say, because it gives me hope. It gives me fire and inspiration. It keeps me going. Like, no bullshit. Like, I don't know if I would have made it through last summer if it weren't for the people, you know, messaging me all the time saying, thank you so much. Like, you're the only person talking about this right now. It's really helped me out. And it's really helped me out. So thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely same. And just like this shit gives me energy. I talked about it on Thaddeus Russell, but like I was like post divorce and like lost my business and like got evicted from my fucking house and shit like that. And so like all of this has been great, and I can't thank people enough. And I mean, yeah, just building the podcast and doing the Unity things and swinging higher and higher, you know, just trying to. I went from giving that stupid speech to within 4 months, I'm trying to get like Alex Jones, Jimmy Dore, like Cassandra Fairbanks, and like a bunch of communists to all show up in the same place. So
right,
just madman goals constantly. But, yeah, so you can catch me on Twitter, just Magnus Panvidia, and on YouTube, Magnus Panvidia, and then I'm on Spotify and Castbox. I upload my podcast to the Unity or Death podcast. So. Yeah, catch me there.
So unify or die, motherfuckers.
Unify. Oh, I tell you guys this really quick. I didn't know this, but the name of the organization that assassinated Archduke Ferdinand and started World War I was in like whatever language it is Unity or Death.
No.
I didn't know that. Someone brought up to me, is like, is this a reference to like the Black Hand? And I'm like, what do you mean? It's like they called themselves Unity or Death. I'm like, oh shit.
Magnus finds new ways to get put on watch lists every single day. Every single day.
I do it not even on purpose.
I know.
I just did have to pass another serious background check for my job, and I honestly wondered, like, I wonder if having Magnus and Ryan on my show like several times is going to trigger like any warnings that they don't.
I guarantee they took a glance at your bank account. Maybe like somebody came, some dude in like those stagehand suits that are all black, like snuck out with like a mirror and was looking under your truck. Promise.
But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I will be streaming on Sunday. Go check both of these guys out at the platforms they listed and the ones I linked in the description. And it's been great, guys. We'll do this again and keep doing what you're doing.